Woohoo! My tattoo shop has been approved. Oh, this is great. I've been a tattooist for 12 years, and now for the first time I have my own shop. It's really exciting. Wow. Things are so beautiful in this world. So I've been reading a lot of Shankaracharya lately. Again, he's responsible for Vedanta, the school of thinking from India that's essentially the essence of the Vedas. Most people think of Hinduism as a religion, but what people don't realize is that there are many, many, many cults and sects within Hinduism. Some believe and think of God as having a form. Some believe and think of God as having no form. Some relate to Vishnu, and some relate to Shiva. Ultimately, all of these God forms are able to contain the one true, living, universal deity. But God is so great, God is so dynamic, that God doesn't fit in one little box. God is big enough for everybody. There's a story of how Ganesh came to be. To make it short, Shiva got Parvati pregnant. But these are gods, so it didn't take 9.5 months. Shiva went for a hike, and while he was gone, his wife became pregnant, gave birth, and their son grew to manhood, all in the span of a very short amount of time. So Shiva came back and saw that this man was in the house, and without even thinking, he cut off the head of this intruder, or this other man, without realizing it was his son. Well, Parvati, before she could say a word, this had already happened, and the head rolled out the door. She exclaimed, "Oh my gosh, that's your son. You just killed your son." And so Shiva, he went looking for the head, Ganesh's head, to put back on. He may be Lord of the universe, but he couldn't find that head anywhere. Looked high, looked low, couldn't find it. So what does he do? He goes and finds an elephant and takes the elephant's head. Uses that for his son. So that's why Ganesh has an elephant head, the story goes. Now, Ganesh is always pictured with one tusk cut off, one tusk broken off. And again, there's a story for that. Ganesha, Ganapati, Ganapati. It's the God of the people, God of the community. So although I haven't been given teachings in this, and I haven't read this anywhere, I have a strong belief that what Ganesha really represents is essentially the homogenization of a group of people's ideas of God. You get a group of 10 people, everybody's going to have a different understanding of what God is, who God is. So Ganesh can contain all of those concepts rolled into one. Now, as the story goes, Ganesh was working on the Vedas, and not Vasishtha in the story. It was Ganesh, or maybe it was Vasishtha, and he broke his pen. But so Ganesh was writing the Vedas down. There's 4 big books, and in the middle of working, he broke his pen without even missing a beat. He broke off his tusk and dipped it and started writing with his tusk, and that's why he has one broken tusk. as the story goes. I think of it differently, and it's how I believe this is the case. Although, like I say, I haven't received this teaching, I haven't read this anywhere, but through contemplation, I've come to this perception, this belief that why Ganesh is pictured with only one tusk isn't because he broke his pen and he needed one real quick. It's because people are confused about what God is, about who God is. And some people have beliefs of a violent, evil God. But even people who have a more or less accurate understanding of God are still somehow confused. I mean, the human mind cannot perfectly understand God. And so you get a big group of people with all these wacky ideas of who God is, and you mush that all into one being. Well, what I believe is that Ganesh is pictured with one tusk because it's showing that Ganesh, it's like having a restrained power, having a safety mechanism. Whereas one person might think of God as a war god, another might think of God as the God of love. When you put those together, you know, that war god could do some damage. So what's the great God do? It creates a safety mechanism. It blunts its sharp edge so as to keep the people safe. I was in Nepal. I went to Kathmandu, and there was a shrine, and there was Ganesh, so familiar. So I gave it honor. I imbibed the good vibration of God and walked on. And almost instantly, I got some sort of pain in my body. And what occurred to me, and again, this just might be my own, some sort of superstition, but what occurred to me is that perhaps somebody who was actually of that shrine, who actually went to that shrine on a daily basis, had prayed to God to relieve some sort of pain, and then, with their misconception, the idea that there's a limited amount of goodness, somebody else had to take that pain for them to be relieved of it. I got it. And again, this is maybe just a little superstition, but I'm a clever mind. So what I thought was, maybe I shouldn't worship at other people's Ganesh shrines. Granted, if it's my Ganesh, then okay, but the God of the community of people in Nepal, in Kathmandu, are vastly different minded people than the people in Las Vegas. I hang out with hippie drummers who were able to be the children of people who read all the Indian books, all the books from India that had been translated into English. And we're not Indians, but we as English speakers have access to the best teachers of all time. The old ancient texts, they've been translated. Wealthy Americans went and sought out the true gurus, the true teachers. And now we have that benefit of just logging onto a computer, going to a bookstore, having access to those great teachers. So the people here in Las Vegas, they're even though we're much removed from the directness of the Indian culture, people in Kathmandu, there's a lot of Buddhists, but they still, for the most part, worship the Indian pantheon, Kali, Ganesh. And a lot of those people simply haven't had the benefit of the upbringing and the education that we've had in the United States. So maybe Ganesh over there is a little bit smaller minded. I'm just rambling, but God bless it. God bless us, God bless you. Typically in the Hindu persuasion, Ganesh is seen as one to remove obstacles and also to place obstacles. Ganesh is always the first god to go to when you're beginning a ceremony. You open with an honoring of Ganesh first, no matter who you're worshiping. It's like the portal or the passageway, the god of the portal. So you can think, if you'd like, about it like a centering. It's like approximately God, closer to God than other things. It's God, but it's more of a generalized God, kind of a mishmash of all the gods into one. Perfectly loving and very accessible. If you've ever thought about worshiping God, or if you've ever thought about enhancing and developing your relationship with God, you know, God's big enough for whatever conception you have. And even though you might not be a Hindu, you can pray to Ganesh, and God will understand. God will understand where you're coming from. You know, if you're just throwing darts in the dark, well, if you throw it in the direction of God, you can't do better really than Ganesh when you're getting rolling with it. I say love God. I say it's totally okay to approach God with form. There is the idea of idolatry and getting too fixated and fascinated on a form or even an object. But especially for cultured American minds, the danger isn't that extreme. And the good it will do you will almost certainly outweigh whatever damage is done. It's a good thing to love God. Om Gam Ganapate, Om Gam Ganesha, Om Gam Ganapate Namaha. Let's see if I have a little Ganesh to look at. I seem to have misplaced my little Ganesh, so we get Kali. Om Kalike Mom, there she is. Looking all vicious and sexy, ready to cut your head off. Om Dum Durgaye. Om I'm Hrim Shrim Chamundaye. Viche Namaha. Om Kalike Ma. Om. So, thanks for watching.